Spurs fans, obviously depending on what happens tonight, some Spurs fans will want us to be in the Champions League, and they think it's important, and they want those Champions League nights back at White Hart Lane. And obviously, if we do beat Man City, there's actually quite a good chance at this point, if Villa do lose tonight, that can be a reality. And that maybe could be in terms of getting more money, and maybe more money to spend in the summer, and maybe that helps the development of the team. I can understand why Spurs fans will want that. I'm just looking at it from at this point. Obviously, I do want Champions League, and if there's a way that we can get Champions League without Arsenal in the league, I'll take it. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case, unfortunately.
How many points are we behind? How many points do we need?
We're 4 points behind.
Yeah, so it's impossible. Well, a draw and a win, can that do it?
Yeah, but then we're still pretty much handing Arsenal the league, unless City win the last game by like 6 goals, and Arsenal only win by...
I wouldn't put it past them, to be fair, but I don't want to give them that opportunity.
Arsenal have a 3-goal buffer at the moment. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's not something,
I see Arsenal absolutely obliterating Everton last game of the season.
I see them winning, but I feel like Everton are in good form, and I also feel like Arsenal have been a bit, not shaky, but like... They haven't been battering teams. They've been just looking to get over the line, I feel, in a lot of games. So maybe if that happens, with Man... I feel like with Man City, if they want 5 or 6 goals, they can just get it. Yeah. I don't know about Arsenal. I don't know how to feel the same about Arsenal.
I think if Arsenal were to go for it, I think the tactics they've been deploying at the moment haven't been that. It's been more like reserved football. But if they need the goals, I think they can do it. And I think in the last game of the season, they always just seem to give their opponents a hiding, particularly if they're at home.
Yeah, but there's not usually this pressure on them last season. Usually pressure's off. So, yeah, I mean, look, I can see them winning. Wouldn't rule that out, but... I'm just saying I would back City to win by more than Arsenal, but whether it's 3 more, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a horrible situation.
So even a draw, Arsenal. I think Arsenal fans would definitely take a draw on Tuesday right now for sure.
It's just a horrible situation, isn't it? Like, because I wasn't in the stadium for any of those 2 games that was in question against Manchester United, and I don't know. I still don't know what kind of an atmosphere it's going to be like tomorrow. It's going to be so weird.
That's one thing that is unprecedented, a home game like that, where a lot of the fan base are going to be looking for us to lose. I know Andrew spoke in his presser saying it's only social media. He said, if you live on social media and that's your world, then you need therapy or something like that. And he thinks that most Spurs fans do want Spurs to win on Tuesday. But I actually don't think that is the case. I was last week. I was on the coach with Liverpool with a lot of Spurs fans. A lot of those Spurs fans aren't one to go on social media a lot or anything, and they were all singing Blue Moon. They were all very much on the we need City to win this game. And these are like Spurs fans who old school 70s, 80s, like very much been going home and away for decades. These are just not like recent social media fans. These are like proper Tottenham fans
that don't even know what social media is.
Yeah, exactly. And they all were very much on we need City to win this game. So I think he is wrong. I think he is wrong about. I think he has a point where I'm sure there are a lot of Tottenham fans who do want to win on Tuesday, but I actually do think it is the majority who probably don't. As much as I don't see Spurs fans booing our own team or anything like that. I don't see like big cheers of City score. I think that would be weird. But I also think it is going to be a strange atmosphere. And I also think at the end of the game, once we've lost the game, I do think there might be some celebration.
I just hope Spurs get the memo, because Spurs know how much, not Ange, but I'm talking about the club itself. They know the rivalry between Spurs and Arsenal, and even people within the club will be not maybe wanting Spurs to lose, but wanting Spurs not to hand Arsenal the title, so essentially Spurs to lose. So I really hope, just for a bit of shithousery, if we do lose the game, blasting out Free From Desire and letting the Spurs fans celebrate in the stadium.
I would love that, but I don't think Levy would ever allow that, because Levy doesn't care. He wants Champions League, doesn't he?
True.
So for him, it would be a bad defeat. So I don't think he would be allow that to happen. But it would be great banter if there was a bit celebrated.
I actually think that there will be a few cheers when Man City score. I don't think it'll be like when Spurs score a goal, but I do think that you will be seeing Spurs fans cheer the goal. I think booing your own team is a bit over the line with it, but I think cheering maybe a Man City goal I think I could probably accept that at this stage.
I think you might. I don't think you'd probably get like some proper cheers. You might get if you're like, "Hey,"
yeah, exactly like that,
100%. Yeah, but I don't see us any Tottenham fans full on cheering. I do see a lot of choruses if we're losing of stand up for Arsenal, all that kind of stuff, just to like basically make it known that we don't care if we're losing essentially this game.
But what do you think the atmosphere is going to be like if we do win at full time? Because it'll be a great win in terms of Spurs and the project and the direction that we're going in after everything that we've gone through to go and beat this Man City team. Like, it'll be a great, like, to see where we're at kind of thing in terms of can we beat these teams.
And also could really get us into that top four. Really.
Yeah, so what do you think, like, do you think at full time if we do win, and let's say for argument's sake Villa lose tonight, like, do you think there will be just like, oh, you know what, fuck Arsenal, let's just celebrate this?
I think so, for that one night, and then it's kind of like that tomorrow's problem. We'll sort that out in terms of we might have just handed Arsenal the title. I think on the day, if you have won a game like that, I don't think Tottenham fans will be able to stop themselves at least feeling a bit of happiness that we have managed to get a massive win. I don't think there's going to be booing at full time if we like mass boos if we have won the game, put it that way. I think if we win, now look, as much as a lot of Spurs fans want us to lose, we know the players want to win, the manager's going to want to win, and I think the fans will respect that. I don't think the fans expect Spurs themselves to throw the game. You can hope for whatever result you want, but I don't think Spurs fans would expect the players to throw the game and just like lose 5-0 and score own goals. That's obviously never going to happen, and that's not what you expect. So you got to respect the fact that they're going to want to win the game. If we're good enough to win it, then that's just what it is essentially. And I think a lot of Spurs fans will appreciate that, but it will be hard to take in a weird way if we do win and we have handed Arsenal the title. I mean, it's going to be very, very strange. Nothing I've ever seen, to be honest.
So tomorrow,
a lot of Arsenal people say, "Oh, small club mentality," but I remember very well when we were in the Champions League final and Arsenal in the Europa League. They all said, "I would rather we lose and they lose and we both win," and that's in a cup final. It didn't even affect it. That isn't even a direct link. This is like a direct link, so it's even more.
Yeah. Look, all these Arsenal fans can take the moral high ground all they want and talk about this small club mentality and stuff. They would do the exact same thing if the shoe was on the other foot, 100%. So me and you in the stadium tomorrow, right? Spurs go 1-0 up. You cheering?
Maybe if it's early enough that you can still turn it around. I don't know. It's going to be so weird. I do wonder what it will be like if we do go 1-0 up. I'm intrigued. I'm really intrigued. I think there'll be enough fans cheering that there'll be a cheer.
I can't bring myself not to cheer a Spurs goal. I just probably couldn't put myself in that situation. I probably will cheer it, but it will be a much more muted cheer. It'll probably be like after the second, like, what am I doing here? Arsenal about to win the title.
I know. Just imagine celebrating Arsenal winning the league. And they'll say it again. They won the league at our ground. They'll use that again against us. I just can't hack that. I really can't. It's such a weird... It's just very strange. It is very strange. But this is, look, at the end of the day, whether we get top four or not, that's just like a temporary short-term thing. If Arsenal win the league...
It's in the history books forever.
Won the league, and we would have given them the league, essentially. And now it'll be down in history that Tottenham gave Arsenal the league. And that'll be there forever. And that is not something I want hanging over us.
We cannot let this happen. We cannot let this happen on our watch in our stadium. We cannot hand Arsenal the title. But anyway, let's go on and talk about the game. Let's look at the form going into it. And it does make for some good reading, to be fair. Man City, obviously, in their bang end of season form. 16 goals, 1 conceded in their last 5 games. 5 wins on the trot. Away from home, they've got 4 wins and a draw in their last 5 games. Spurs obviously have very much up and down form. However, we do have good form at home with that only loss coming in the North London derby.
Yeah, and even that game, we probably could have taken something out of that game. So we are quite good at home in terms of results-wise, and the performance level is a lot better at home. But look at that in terms of Man City's... So what? Last 5, they've scored 16. That's like an average of 3 a game, isn't it? Over 3 a game.
Over.
And 1 conceded. That's ridiculous form. And you can see we've conceded 14 in our last 5. So we're leaking goals for left, right, and centre, and they're barely leaking a goal. So does look like Man City. Looking at the form, there's only going to be one winner here, but I think we've seen it before, haven't we? Where we've been in terrible form and we just somehow turn up in this game.
Yeah, I mean, look, bring up the head-to-head of the Premier League last 5 games. I mean, look at that head-to-head against the best team in the Premier League over the past 3-4 years. You know, we've won 3 times, drawn once, and lost once. Earlier this season, we went up to the Etihad with Ben Davis, Emerson Royale at centre backs, and took home
3 defeats
on the back of 3 and took home a point. I mean, let's be real about that game. Like, they should have been out of sight in the first half. Haaland missed a host of massive chances, didn't he? Emerson Royale seemed to just want to give them a goal time and time again. I think we did get away with one massively in that game. But they've never scored a goal in the Premier League at our stadium. They've never scored a goal, which is crazy. And even when you look back at the game that we played in January, like, we lost 1-0 right in the last minute from a set piece, but they couldn't really hurt us that much that game.
Yeah, 100%. We have an astonishing record against Man City. We're just one of their bogey teams. They do really struggle when they play us for one reason or another. In a weird way, actually, it's not even like they struggle. A lot of the times they actually have a good game.
Yeah.
But we just somehow do it every time. Every time we just somehow get the better of them. It's not like we batter them every time. Like most games they do have a lot of chances, but usually our keeper makes a lot of saves. We make a lot of good defensive interceptions, and then we're just very, very clinical when we go forward.
It's us on the transition. A lot of the times when we did beat them under Nuno, under Jose, under Conte, we had a very good transitional setup. We haven't had, I mean, we do have that to a certain extent, but we don't play that way, like sitting deep and trying to hit them on the counter. But we do have players like Heung-min Son, Kulusevski, who always turn up against them. And when they're on top form in the transition, I mean, it's hard to find better players than them. Yeah,
that is true. But I also think the way we are playing at the moment and the way we are set up, in terms of we haven't quite perfected how we're playing at the moment, clearly. As we've seen in the recent weeks, and better teams have just been able to pick us off quite comfortably. And I think Man City will be watching those games back, licking their lips probably about what they could do to our defence, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the Man City predicted lineup, we have got Ederson in goal, Walker, Diaz, Akanji, and Gvardiol. And what a season! What second half of the season Gvardiol is happening. I felt like he took a bit of a while to get to grips with the Premier League. I thought his defensive play was always there, but now he's really starting to contribute in the offensive side of the game, in the Champions League, in the Premier League. What a player we're seeing kind of come to the fore in the Premier League in front of our eyes at the moment.
We knew what a talent he was.
Yeah.
There was a reason they spent 70 million on him, and obviously the World Cup he was phenomenal. The only real surprise is that majority of his time he's been played at left back, because obviously he was a centre back before he signed, and but we know how Man City like to set up their defence, where they usually like to have pretty much a centre back out wide as well to make sure that they're not really getting caught out. And Gvardiol's done that role really well, especially of late. And look, he's a young player. He signed at 21 years of age, so it was always likely that it was going to take a bit of time. And Man City is also a very, very difficult team to adjust to. I know Haaland, came in like a duck to water, but he's a rarity when it comes to players just coming in to Man City and performing straight away. It doesn't usually happen like that. So he's taken his time, but he's now really showing what an unbelievable talent he is, and what a unbelievable goal scoring form he's in at the moment. He's showed the quality he's got, and we know what an aggressive defender he is as well. So I think they've got a defender for many, many years to come there.
Yeah, absolutely. If you bring up the predicted lineup for Man City again, so Kovacic and Rodri in the middle of the park. And by the way, how the hell is Rodri not in the running for Player of the Year this season? He has probably been... I've been saying Ollie Watkins all the way through, but I've completely forgotten about Rodri. And I'm saying Rodri is hands down the best player in the Premier League this season.
Absolutely. I think it's clear, Rodri, because it's not only how consistent he is, because he pretty much plays every game, apart from a little spell where he was injured and they really suffered for it. Defensively, in terms of... You could take all the goals and assists out of his game. He'd still be easily the best defensive mid in the league in terms of the work he gets through, the discipline he has, the quality he's got setting the pace as well. And then on top of that, you've now added this season. I mean, last season he was getting clutch goals, don't get me wrong, but this season he's added regularity to his goal contribution. So I think it's 8 goals and 6 assists. 8 goals and 6 assists for Rodri this season.
Yeah.
I think it's a phenomenal return for a player who obviously has unbelievable talent ahead of him, who clearly his job is mainly to facilitate, but the fact that he's been getting those goal contributions regularly for a player in his position is astonishing, and it just goes to show that this guy knows no bounds in terms of, I think, look, 9 assists and 7 goals.
Wow.
So that's 16 goal contributions. That's nearly 20. I mean, that's attacking midfielder numbers, let alone a player playing
After tomorrow night, it will be 20 probably.
It's honestly incredible. It's honestly astonishing how he's got that level of goal contributions, and he just never has a bad game. He literally never has a bad game. So for me, with City as well about to win the league, I think the fact that he's not nominated is a disgrace.
Yeah.
It's a disgrace.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the Premier League are thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got someone like Alexander Isak in there and Rodri not in there, where Isak has had like look, don't get me wrong, he's had a really good season, but he's been nowhere near on the level of someone like Rodri.
Yeah.
In terms of the attack, you've got Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Erling Haaland. I mean, again, Phil Foden, he's in the running for Player of the Year, and he has had a sensational season. I think he's warranted to be there 100%. But I still think Rodri deserves to be there ahead of Phil Foden. Kevin De Bruyne is Kevin De Bruyne. He's been out injured for the majority of the season, but I think you've seen how much he means to Man City, obviously, since he's been back in the team. And Bernardo Silva, what a player he is.
Yeah.
So how do Spurs even think about dealing with this attack?
Just have to do what we always do and just get lucky, I guess. If we're going to have to get a win in this game. I mean, look, to be fair, and even in those games where, as I say, Man City have lost, like they've missed penalties, open goals. Like I think if you take a look at their XG over the course of the games they've lost, they've missed like, I think, nearly 10 XG or something.
Look at the number of shots they've had compared to the number of shots we've had. We've just been super, super clinical when we played them. I
do think the way we have set up usually is probably the best way to combat Man City. Just make sure that they're creating as minimal as chances as possible, restrict them as much, and then when you are got the opportunity to spring on them, you've got one of the best transitional players in Son. Obviously, Kane used to be in the team. He was an unbelievable hold-up player as well. So we had the threats to really hurt them, and that's what usually got us joy. Obviously, under Ange, it's different now. We're trying to go toe-to-toe with them on a footballing point of view. And we saw at the Etihad how difficult that can be. And to be fair, in the second half we overcame that. We did play well in that second half, and we got back in the game, and it showed what our football can do. But in that first half as well, we showed that how vulnerable we can be, and if we allow Man City to win the ball up high and we're gifting them chances, it's going to be a struggle. But then again, we did have Emerson and Davis rather than Romero and Van der Ven, so maybe with those two will be a different game. I do think.
Was Rodri playing at the Etihad?
Can't remember. He might have been injured at the time.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He might have been injured
because it was at the time when they were losing a couple of games, weren't they?
Yeah. Let me see. Let me see if I can get it up.
But either way, like even when we played them in the FA Cup in January, we went toe to toe. We tried to go toe to toe with them, but it was a game of hardly any chances. It was a weird one, wasn't it?
They did. Yes, they did.
Rodri did play.
They did have Rodri. There was probably in that period as well. They were playing Alvarez with Haaland, which they haven't really been doing too much. Well, we started Brian Hill in that game.
Yeah,
Brian Hill started. Lo Celso started. We actually started Basuma, Lo Celso, and Deki in the centre. So quite an offensive.
We changed it all up half time, though, didn't we?
Obviously, we were 1-0 down, I think. No, it was 1-1. No, we were 2-1 down.
2-1,
We
yeah.
won 1-0 up, didn't we?
Basuma just gave away that goal, didn't he, just before half time?
I think he gave away the third goal.
Was it the third goal?
I think we were 2-1 down at half time after Son put us 1-0 up. And we kind of turned it around in the second half. But we're even a very different team to that team that we're going to be putting out on Tuesday. So it's going to be very interesting.
But this Man City run and Man City team, you never want to play Man City at this stage of a season. Never. And I think like if this game was potentially in a January, in a February, maybe even in a March, and definitely before the time of the year, that we'd have a much better chance than maybe at this stage of a season, because they're just relentless. They're just unreal. I don't think there's been ever a better Premier League side in history at this stage of a season.
No. They're just relentless, and they're perfect. They're literally perfect the whole step. But they do not slip up at this stage of the season. I don't think they ever have, really. I'm trying to look back and when they have in the seasons they have won the league, which is pretty much all the seasons. I can't think of like too many games where like the pressure's got to them and they've just slipped up
Never.
in a crucial game. It just Liverpool like got 97 points. It wasn't enough because Man City just didn't give up. What was it, last season, or sorry, 2 seasons ago, when Liverpool took it to the final day? Man City yet again, never slipping up. It's quite incredible how efficient they are at this stage of the season. They're just so controlled, so measured, so calm. And it's almost like they've built this aura for themselves now where Arsenal lose one game at Villa and it's like disaster, even though they're going to win however many
they win
games.
like 19. They won like 18 or 17 games.
If they win the last game against Everton, it will be 16 wins out of 18.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Which
like,
is bad. Yeah, one loss, and because this aura of Man City that they win every game, it's like one loss and it's a disaster and they've lost the league, and they might have because of that one loss as well, which is crazy given how amazing they've been. So
against any other team,
Man City have.
Against any other team in a title race, if Arsenal do that second half of the season, they're winning the title against any other team. Mm-hmm. And that's a testament just to how monstrous and how good this Man City side are. So yeah, I think that's enough from us today from the match preview. Sim is going for 2-1 to Man City. I'm going for 3-1. Let me know your score predictions in the comments section below.